Hello, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the MakeCode Arcade Advanced stream, Richard and Shannon edition. I'm Richard, at Richard on the MakeCode forum.
I'm Shannon, at Checkout on the MakeCode forum.
You can't really do anything. Oh, MakeCode Senior?
Yes.
Anything?
MakeCoders.
Okay, I like that one. MakeCoders.
Yeah.
All right, so we thought we would do something kind of fun and different today. And hopefully, if this goes well, we'll do it another day with more coders on the stream. But it's just me and Shannon today. Mm-hmm. We want to play a game, which is called MakeCode Golf. Okay, and so the rules of this game, it's very much like regular golf. So if you've played golf before, which I haven't, but I'm sure you'll pick it up immediately. All right, so we're going to give a prompt, which is a type of game. And chat, if you want to give us a genre of game, please feel free. And then what we're going to do is Shannon and I are both going to try and make a version of this game with the fewest number of blocks possible. And then we're going to share our games. You know, I'll be doing mine on the stream, but Shannon will send me her share link. And we will get together and decide, did we make a whatever game? Like, did we make a platformer? And then we'll look at the code to see how we did it. So it's going to be a little interesting. We're going to just, like I said, we're trying to use the fewest number of blocks possible. So what is the bare minimum you can do to have like a platformer or something? All right. Do we have any suggestions from chat?
No, not yet. I don't know if our regulars have arrived or will be arriving today, but so far it's just Joey in the chat.
That's fine. We started a little bit earlier than usual. All right. Well then, Shannon, would you like to do the honors choosing our first one?
Just like a game genre?
Mm-hmm.
Tile maps or no tile maps?
Either way.
I don't know. Like, I feel like shooter and platformer are the classics, but it might be interesting to do something else. Do you have other ideas?
Those are the classics. But I want us to go. I want it to be difficult. Let's do a maybe like a rhythm game.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. So we might not have. No, we'll have sound on my computer. Hopefully, it won't be too loud. But yeah, let's try that. We'll try and make a rhythm game.
Sounds good.
All right. So time starts. We don't have a timer now. All right. So my basic idea is something along the lines of Friday Night Funkin'. And so I'm thinking that we could do like that game basically has arrows that come up and then like overlap with a another thing, and then your timing is based off of when those things overlap. So first I'm going to try it with just like one button and see if we can make that into kind of a fun game. If we can, then we will see how hard it would be to add more. Let's see. What background? Stage is obvious. All right. I think I'm going to make this into a musical note, an eighth note. Beautiful. I'm also going to make an outline for this note. And the idea is going to be, you're going to want to match it up with the outline. So I'm going to do this as just our regular note image. And then I'm going to do another image, which is just the outline. and you'll want to press the button when they are overlapping. What's your plan, Shannon? Or you can keep it a secret if you want.
Sorry?
You can keep it a secret if you want also.
Oh, no. I'm gonna do like also arrows, but a single stream of them coming towards like a point. And then you'll hit the arrows, I think. But I figured I would try and do something slightly different since we're coding at the same time. And I feel like the default would be to end up same thing if you're narrating as you go.
All right, I've got something kind of psychedelic going on.
Nice.
Okay, so we're doing this as a projectile that we're going to be making from the side. And we want to make our target sprite now. So I'm going to, well, just make a sprite for this one, not a projectile. We'll go ahead and take this image and duplicate it. Put this over here. And we're just going to make this into like a silhouette, I guess. Maybe I should have left the outline. There we go. We'll make a new kind for this. It's going to be target.
It's actually surprising to me that we don't have built-in arrows in the gallery.
Yeah, maybe we should add those. I mean, I can draw some of those. It would probably be better if our pixel artist did. Okay. So we have got our target. We have got our projectiles. Let's make it so that our projectiles are just going horizontally. And let's make it so that they are coming from the correct position. So we're going to set the Y on these guys to be halfway through the screen, which will be 60. All right, we have a column of things now. Okay, so this is pretty good. But what we want to do is we want to make sure that this only happens periodically. So we're going to put in a pause. And there's a reason I'm doing this in a forever and not a game update interval. And that is, so I'm using this pause, but if I want to do it along with music, I can go into the music category and drag out a rest block and use that for my pause. Rest, I don't think rest actually, oh yeah, rest does do a pause. So you can just take it and say like rest for 1 beat, right? And so if I want to make this game a little bit more interesting, I could, vary this up. I could change rest 1 beat into rest 1 beat, or maybe 50% of the time rest half a beat, But this is MakeCode golf, so we got to be sparing with our blocks. So right now we're just always going to rest for 1 beat. All right. Now, finally, we need to do our point scoring. So I think what we want to do is we want to do, oh, let's get rid of that. We want to do an on overlaps between our two things. So let's do an on sprite of kind target overlaps other sprite of kind projectile. And we want to do something if the like position is correct. So I think we're going to put in an if. Or no, let's see. Do we need an if? Can we get rid of that if? Think about it. All right, I'm kind of treating categories as like a sub challenge for this. So I want to use as few categories as possible also. So if I could get away without using an if, I would be really happy. I don't know if I can. The thing is, I need to get whatever the like most recent projectile is, and use it. So one way I could do that would be making it so that there's only ever one projectile on the screen, but that's kind of tough. Another way we could do that is, well, maybe we could do that. So let's go into advanced. We're gonna add an extension now. We're gonna add story. Okay, so we're going to take our projectile and we're going to have it move to a location, which is going to be 80, 60. Okay, and so now they're just moving straight to the center of the screen. And what we can do, because we're doing this, is we can now destroy it after this. And this will make it so that we don't have to check which one that we're currently overlapping with. We can actually get rid of this overlaps thing entirely, because now there's only ever one projectile. There's just the one that was done last. So what we can do is when we do this on a button press, we can now just take our projectile variable and we can change our score based off how many, how far away it is from us. So that's going to be the difference between the x. So I'm going to go into math. I'm going to get the x of my projectile and the x of my target. And I'm going to do a change score by this, and right. So this kind of works, but it always gives me negative score right now because of the way that we're doing this, right? So the difference between the projectile x and the target x, we want to change our score by this amount, but we also want to make it so that it is more than, we get better the closer it is. Right now, the closer it is, we'll actually get closer to 0. So the way we can do this is if we make it, I think 16 plus this, we will change our score by an amount. So it'll be 16 if we get it perfectly. Oh man, we maybe need to, we're gonna need to put in a pause here before we destroy it, because this makes it so that the timing is a little less precise. All right. So this works. The only thing that's kind of left to do is we want to make it so that we actually play some sound. So let's go into here. We're going to go into our music, and we're going to get a play tone block. Does play tone block?
Play tone doesn't. Play melody does.
All right, let's see. Oh, I forgot I can't hear the desktop.
I also can't hear the desktop.
How to solve this? Oh, I know how to do it. Okay, we're gonna disappear for a second. Bye. Okay, there may be no way for me to make this sound thing work.
We could just do a rhythm game without sound.
Yeah, I guess that's what we're gonna have to do. Kind of lame though. This is a bad choice of thing to do. I'll try and figure this out for next time. Okay, well then I'll just get rid of my play tone, and I think we have a rhythm game. Bump, 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 bump. Okay. So I would call this rhythm game basic. Let's see if we can make it so that we have a bit more challenge to this. Let's see. If we were to make this have more than one note that you could play, I think that to do that, we would have to do the different buttons. So let's make it so we have two buttons. We're going to do up and down. I'm going to make up, I'm going to make down, and I'm going to make a another variable. So we're going to rename this variable to target note up. And this one's going to be a new variable called target note down. And we're going to set the Ys of both of these. So this one's going to be at 40. This one's going to be at 80. We're going to change this variable to be projectile up. And then we're going to go into here, and we're going to make it so that we also do projectile down. So I'm going to duplicate all of this code and put this right here. I'm going to change all of these to be projectile down. And I'm going to change the Y on this one to be 80 and the Y on this one to be 40. And make sure this is, let's see, I want this to be projectile. Oh, whoops, this should be projectile down. All right.
Richard?
What?
Oh, you just went very quiet.
Sorry. Yeah, I should be talking more. I was just playing my game to test.
Ah.
Okay. So this seems to be a little bit wonky. I'm trying to figure out exactly why. So why isn't my score going up if I get it perfectly? That's the question. Oh, because I'm hitting the wrong keys. That's working significantly better. All right, we got a slight problem though, which is that right now we can double count these things. So the easiest way to fix that, let's see, is there an easy way to fix that? So let me clarify what this problem is a little bit. So if I press up several times, let's see, so we're gonna have one note go up. And if I press up while the down note is going, I can now get perfect points more times. So we need to make it so that you can only register points when you press it while it's up, and otherwise you get a penalty. And I think there's a clever way to do that. That might be too clever, but it'll work. Which is that when we press, instead of destroying, what we're going to do instead is set the projectile up X to be off the screen. And this is a little bit too clever, I think. The reason being that what we're doing here is we're taking advantage of the auto destroy and also how our scoring works. So by putting it off screen, we destroy the sprite, but we also make it so that if you keep pressing the button while it's not there, you're going to get a penalty of the entirety of the distance between these two. So, ooh, yeah, wait, that's one other thing we have to fix. Right. Okay, so see, now if I press buttons while I'm out of things, I get a huge point penalty because I'm cheating. In fact, the point penalty is maybe a bit too large. But it works for now. Okay, so the last thing I need to figure out is that right now, if you press down right when the game starts, the game crashes. So to fix that, we need this projectile down to be defined. And I'm trying to think of what the easiest way to do that is. Okay, I have one idea. So we're going to take this projectile down stuff and move it into its own forever. And we're going to take this pause and we're going to make it 200 milliseconds for down. Oh, this potentially made the game way too hard. On the one hand, I kind of like it. On the other hand, maybe if I make this timing a little bit more precise, there'll be this will be more fun. Okay, so the issue right now is that we're doing this move to thing, which is blocking. And so we want to make this time, it take about the same amount of time that this move to can do. And so to make it so that we don't have to calculate that, we can go ahead and just figure it out. So we're moving up 40 pixels and we're moving over 80 pixels. And so if we were to calculate what that distance is, I can just do that in my head. I can't do a square root in my head, so I don't know how I would possibly figure that out. All right, I'm going to do a calculator off screen. Okay, that comes out to 89 pixels is how far we are traveling. So we're traveling 89 pixels at 100 pixels per second. So in order to get the amount of time that we're spending, we want to divide the pixels per second from the 89 pixels. So if we do 89 divided by 100, then we get 0.89 seconds. If we convert 0.89 seconds to milliseconds by multiplying by 1,000, we get 890 milliseconds. So what that means is we can actually take this pause and we want to make it a multiple of the time that we are spending because that's going to make it so this is a bit more musical, you know. So, you know, let's actually make this pause 100 for both of them. So that 100 is always the amount of time you have to solve it. But for the second one, we're going to put in another pause. And this is going to be a pause 890, which should make it so that now we've got a little bit of a rhythm going. Yeah, here we go. So let's watch me play this now. Okay, so now they start out coming together, and then basically the bottom one comes half as often as the top one. So it's kind of like da 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 da. That's kind of a rhythm. All right, I think I'm done with mine, Shannon.
Okay, I'm close to done. I'm working on one last thing. So.
All right. So the only thing I can think to do for this right now is that really there's no way to end this game. You just kind of go on forever. And so what we could do instead is if we were to go into our code and we want to make it so that this game has, oh, I forgot to bring us back. We're back. So if I want to make it so that this game has an ending, I think the natural way to kind of do that is to have something like lives and make it go down when the note, when you miss the note. So when the error is by a certain amount. And at this point, I don't think there's any way I can get around putting an if in there. Well, let me think about this. I mean, I can technically get around having an if. Which is, so if I go into info and I want to do a change life by, what I can do is I can do I can use min and max to get around having an if. Because what I'll do is I'm going to do this divided by the difference. Okay, so I'm going to get the difference between the two. So this is the x difference that we have. And if this is like -16, that's no good. So actually, I'm going to flip these around so that it's positive. So if target x is greater than this by like more than 16, then we're going to lose a life. All right. And so we've made this positive. What we're going to do is we're actually going to divide this by 8. So this is going to make it so that it is, if it's greater than 8, it's going to be greater than 1. If it's less than 8, it's going to be less than 1. And so if we put in a floor, we'll now get something that is either greater than 1 or less than 1. And we can do a change life by minimum of this and 1, and then we just do a 0 minus that. And we have done some math that nobody can understand, but that doesn't use an if statement, which is what my goal was. So I'll get rid of the score stuff altogether. And instead, I'll just do this. Target node up, projectile up, and let's try this out. Okay, I already lost a life. Not a good sign. Okay. This seems to be working like I thought it would. So if I press it and I'm off by too much, then I lose. I lose a life. And it looks like I was only ever losing 1 life at a time, which is good. All right, cool. I'm sure that there's a way I could simplify this math, but I'm going to leave it as is.
All right, I'm also done. There's one part that I don't like and like haven't optimized, but you know, whatever.
Okay. So I initially had a simple version of this, Shannon, that was just 1 note, which had much fewer blocks.
I was listening.
Yeah, okay. So I went and made it so that I have more than 1 note now, because I thought that was, you know, closer to what a rhythm game is.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so let's walk through my code. So the way we do this is we have a target note up and a target note down. So that is the target that is up here and the target that is down here. We have when you press the up button. Well, let's get to the up button after we get to where we're actually spawning them. Okay. So we're spawning a projectile from the side. We're setting the Y to be the correct Y for each of these. Actually, it's not. It's 60, so they're going up at a diagonal, but that's fine. And we have a move to, and for both of them, they're just moving to the position of our target sprite. After the move to, we have a pause. This is the amount of time you have to press the note correctly. And then we set the projectile X to -16. And this is what we do to make it so that if you press it after the note has disappeared, you will get a penalty because it's going to be far away. So we're doing our score based off the distance between the X's. So that makes it so it's far away, and it also has the side effect of destroying it. We do the same thing for projectile down. The only difference is we do an extra pause to give it a rhythm. So this one will pause for 890, which is a second beat. So if I actually let these run, you'll be able to see it. So we do 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. So there's a bit of a rhythm going on.
Nice, yeah.
And actually, I think I'm going to move this up here. Okay. So now we go to our up button pressed and our down button pressed. So this is where I kind of cheated by making it complicated. So I wanted to not use an if statement. And I just used a fake if statement. I used a min block. Yeah. And so the way that this works is I wanted to change our life by -1 if it is greater than 8 pixels away, or 0 if it is less than 8 pixels away.
Mm-hmm.
So I get the difference between the X's. I divide that by 8, which, as you know, if it's less than 8, it's going to be less than 1. If it's greater than 8, it's going to be greater than 1. And so if I take the floor of that, which just chops off the decimal point, it'll be 0 if it's less than 8. It'll be 1 if it's greater than 8 or something higher. And then I put that inside of a min to make sure that I only ever change the life by 1.
Mm-hmm.
And I just did the same thing. So this is just kind of duplicated. So if you want to imagine this code, but simpler, just delete half of it. Because I just had to do everything twice, basically.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
All right. It's time for Shannon's code.
Yeah. Oh, Gideon and Lucas are here as well. Hello.
Hey, Gideon and Lucas. We are playing MakeCode Golf, where we try to make a game with the fewest number of blocks that we can, based off a genre.
Yeah.
All right. So Shannon, do you want to give an intro? I think I know how to play this game.
Sorry? Yeah.
I think I know how to play this game.
So I didn't, okay, yeah. So it's a rhythm game. There's 4 directions. They come at, slightly different speeds. And if it passes the like target square, you won't be able to destroy it. And so you'll lose a life and you have 3 lives. But yeah, it probably wouldn't make like music if we added sound, but it would make, noises in a rhythm.
Yeah. All right, let's look at the code.
Yeah.
I think you made a better game than I did, for sure.
Yeah. So okay. So the part I don't like is if you look down there, there's like a giant if statement. And I didn't know how to quite. So okay. Yeah. So let me talk through. So I'm making a target sprite. I made it a square because like traditionally in rhythm games, the thing you go over like the same shape of it, right? So if you had like arrows, you would want it to be like an up arrow when you were supposed to overlap with the up arrow. So I made it a square and then I just colored the sides of my squares the right way. And then forever loop, same as Richard's. I pick an random image and I set it from the side and then I pause and I'm pausing between 1 and 4 and then I'm multiplying by 500. So it's like, it's not like if I was, a random number between like 200 and 500, you would get like a lot of variation, but
yeah.
I don't know a lot of music things, but music does happen on like fixed subdivided beats.
It's often on a grid, yes.
Yeah. So I was like, cool, this is kind of a grid. So when the projectiles get destroyed, you lose a life. And then if you come down here, the thing I'm doing is in the projectile overlaps food, which is the target. I could have named these better. They're not like, that wouldn't be an extra block. So I'm checking to see if I'm getting the index of the note in like the arrows array. Yeah. So left is 0, up is 1, etc. And then I'm just doing like a big check to see if the like index matches the button that you're pressing. It means like, you got it right. And if so, I change the kind because if I destroy a projectile, you'll lose a life. And then I destroy it, and then I change your score by 1. So yeah, I feel like there might be a better way, like if I could have done another array of like the arrow directions,
yeah,
like up, down, left, right, then I could have gotten the index and then like checked against the index and just done like one thing instead of this like very long thing. But yeah.
So I can think of a really clever way to do it, but also a way that would not be easy to do.
Wait, real quick also, the thing that Richard did that I gave up in this because it was so rhythm games typically, I think an important component is like accuracy. So how close you are to like exactly overlapping. And mine is all or nothing. It's if you overlap at all, then you get a point, and if you don't, then you get 0. But.
Yeah, you can fake the accuracy with this though by making your sprite in a clever way. So if you're doing the overlap, you would make it so that you had a sprite that was a target that only overlapped at a precise point.
Yeah, but I didn't want to. But you still have to give them points for like it's like a scale of points, right? Like you get more for being closer.
Mm-hmm.
I just didn't want like another big if thing.
I guess that's true. Yeah.
I think maybe you could do it with math.
Probably.
But
math solves many problems. Okay. So what I was thinking was one way we could do this is if we well, all right, I'm not going to say my too smart way of doing it, which is not useful to anyone, I think. But it involves bit shifting, and I don't think that we want to do that. Yeah.
They're
Um,
shifting with the arrows?
yes.
Oh, okay.
So the basic idea is we make a math random, okay, between some amount of number. We do a bit shifting, and then you do an XOR and change the score by that amount with the number that is associated with the arrow that you press.
But how do you know that the sprite is the right one?
That the sprite is the right one?
Yeah.
Because we set that as their kind.
Oh, I see, I see. Yeah. That would have
So
been a good way to do it.
it's so if we set it as the kind, which here's a fun trick for you all. When you're setting the kind of something, it's actually just a number. So we definitely don't encourage that you do this, but you can do it. You can set the kind of projectile to be a random number between 1 and 4.
Mm.
And if you do it that way, then what you can do is on sprite of kind projectile overlaps other sprite of kind like enemy. I'm sorry, not enemy, but you want to put it in a number here. So you would just take this and put 1.
Yeah.
Then you don't need to do an if statement here because you know which arrow that you're in.
Mm-hmm.
So the only thing you would need to do now is, I guess you do need to see if the button's being pressed or not. Let's see, is there a way we could get rid of that if statement? I think there is.
I mean, you could do it in a button pressed, and then, well, no, because I did want multiple sprites on the screen at the same time. But, yeah, I'm okay with having an if statement though. That wasn't one of my goals.
Yeah, that's fair. So if we did it this way, then we could just say if, so 1 would be left. So if left button is pressed, then we would like change score by 1.
We could make a function and call it that way to reduce the number of blocks.
True. Yeah, you're right. Could do it that way. And you would also want to copy over the rest of this stuff.
Yep.
So if we put all of this into a function and then we just made the function take in a Boolean, and then we could just pass it this is left button pressed, then we could just, do that. So, I mean, just to do it out. See, this is why two brains are better than one.
Lucas says, I won a game jam last year and I had to use 10 blocks on Tinker though, so you can't see the game. But 10 is a Code Golf winning number.
That's true. Let's see.
20 blocks.
I want to edit this thing, and I'm also going to pass in the sprite. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this, put this in here, put in an if, say if pressed, then do this junk. And then we take this on button pressed and then do a add if pressed is left button pressed, and we pass in our sprite.
Nice. Yeah.
And then there we go. So then we would just duplicate this for all of our different directions and do it that way. So there you go. Cool. That brings me to another fun variation we could do on this. Do you want to try and do for the next round? Let's do the best game we can make with X blocks.
Oh, like a fixed number of blocks? Interesting. Yeah, I'm into it.
Yeah, all right. Let's do it. What's a good
right
number?
Now?
Yeah.
Okay.
You got 15 minutes left.
How many?
20 is a lot, I feel like. You want to do?
Sorry, Gideon says, what do you mean by X blocks?
Oh, so we need to, like you did, make a game with, make the best game we can with only using, however many blocks. So like 10 or 20. All right, so we don't have much time left. So I'm gonna say, let's do 10 blocks because I'm interested if we can do anything. On start doesn't count. And I think we'll go ahead and say expressions don't count because then we get into a weird thing of counting shadow blocks.
Yeah, maybe just 10 like statements, right?
Yes.
Cool.
And events other than on start.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's go. Okay, so my first thought is often my first thought, which is doing a platformer. So we're going to start out with a tile map. We go right here. We're just going to make it the size of our screen because we're coding fast. And we're just going to fill in a little basic environment. And we'll put in something to be our background. Sure. You're in a field and you're in front of a wall. And we'll go ahead and put in our walls here, and we'll put in like a platform. The reason I'm putting in a background, by the way, with these tiles is because I don't want to use the set background block. So that's an extra block. All right. Now we're going to go ahead and create our character. So let's go into here. We're going to check this, and we'll use, let's see, what's something we don't use very often? I'm going to take the cherries, and I'm going to draw little faces on them. There you go. Look at them. They're brothers. Okay. Now we got the cherry bros. We're going to go ahead and give them some gravity. So we're going to set the AY to be 500. And we're going to set the, we're going to do a move with buttons. Set VX to be 100, set VY to be 0. All right, what are we up to? 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. So we've got our basic moving around now. Let's go ahead and do jumping. So we're going to, inside of here, we're going to set our VY, and we're going to do Kirby jumping to save some blocks. So we're just going to set our VY to be negative like 200. And when I say Kirby jumping, what I mean is we're not going to check to see if we're on the ground. So you can just keep jumping. So you got kind of like an infinite jump, which you can do. But it means you have to make your game interesting in a different way. So Kirby does it with enemies and things. So there's a bunch of enemies that you need to navigate around. So it's not really about precise platforming. It's about dodging all of the obstacles that are in your way. And so if we want to do something like that, let's go ahead and try and make this a little bit interesting. And we're going to make this into, let's see, we'll make it a little bit more interesting than a standard platformer by making it a survival game. So we're going to make another platform. So let's put one up here. There we go. And we're going to make it so that we have enemies coming around. So let's start by doing our overlaps. So I'm going to put this overlap right here. I'm going to make a sprite of kind enemy. When I overlap with them, I'm going to change our life by -1. See how many blocks I'm at. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh, 8 blocks. Okay. And so what we're going to do now is we need to, let's see, is there a way I can make this work? All right, so we're going to create a projectile from side. And because expressions don't count, we're going to go use the pick random blocks to give them a random velocity. So we're going to make this between -100 and 100. Oh, I typed both of those numbers incorrectly. And for this one, we're going to do the same thing. And a fun property of the projectile block is it will actually, if we do it from walls, it's going to make it so that the projectile that we create is going to come from the right wall based on what velocity we pass it. So we don't need to waste time like choosing the right location. So let's go ahead and choose an enemy. We'll just do an asteroid. Why not? Okay, and so we have made a game where we just have asteroids that are constantly appearing that we need to dodge. Oh, let me fix my overlaps real quick. So I'm going to change this to be kind projectile. And let's see. There's a problem with this. So the problem with this is that I have an issue, which is I'm doing a change of life by -1, which is actually just as good as a game over because, you know, we'll just make it a game over. We'll just make it explicit. That gets rid of the problem. Okay, so this kind of works. Yeah. I wouldn't say it's super fun, but I wonder if we can fix that with a little bit of level design. So let's get into here. We're going to move this one up here. The way the projectile block works is they're always coming from the corners. So, and it'll be based off whatever correct velocity we get. Oh, Shannon seems like she's having a good time.
No, my game is very dumb.
All right, this is interesting. Okay, how can we make this a little bit better? I think one way we can make this better is by getting rid of these walls at the bottom. It's kind of a problem though. So what we'll do instead is we'll just make it so that we are, make this 10 by 7. So what I'm trying to fix now is I want to fix these ones that are at the bottom because they're getting destroyed when they come up because of our wall. And so one way I can fix this is by adding the small tile maps extension. Well, actually, I can just add the normal tile maps extension now. So I want a tile map that is the exact size of my screen. Let's see. There's another way I can fix this. No, I want to do it this way. Yeah, this is the way to do it. Okay, so we're going to do our set current tile map to tile map. Goodbye. Go into here. We're going to do an 8x8 tile map. And we're going to go ahead and just draw one real quick. So let's go ahead and just fill in some grass down here. We don't want there to be walls. So we're actually just going to, and I immediately draw a wall. Whoops. Okay. Wait, I want to do this. I want to do this. Okay. So we're going to have this as our background, which is kind of weird. And we need to make some platforms. So I'm just going to blah, 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 blah. And we're going to draw a platform here, and then maybe draw a platform here, and maybe draw a platform here. And I want it to be symmetrical. There we go. And we'll just go ahead and fill these in. All right. You got it. This works. It works because they're coming from the corners, so you know where you have to avoid on the screen. There's no like instant kill. But let's see. Is the problem that okay, no. So that's not a safe spot. I was worried that I had a safe spot on my screen where it was impossible for you to get hit. But I don't think there actually is one. Unless it's right here. I don't think this is a safe spot. Maybe it is. Man, it's hard to stay up there, though, I gotta say. Oh yeah, all right, it's not a safe spot. That's perfect. Okay, so I think this game works. All right, I'm done with mine, Shannon.
Huh?
Okay. All right.
I'm done.
Go over.
There are 12 blocks in here. 2 can be deleted, but I think it makes it more fun. Anyway.
Okay. Fair enough. Fair enough. All right, so let's look at my game first. So we've got the Cherry Bros.
Mm-hmm.
Oh. All right, so we've got a platformer, and we have these asteroids that are coming in from the corners of the screen, and you need to avoid them. If you get hit by one, you die.
Oh.
Yeah. There we go. And it's actually kind of fun. I think the way I would make this game more fun is I would add a score component. So every time one of these gets spawned, there is a change score by 1. And then I think you would have a pretty fun game.
Oh, we ended up in kind of similar places.
Oh, yeah? Oh, yeah. So just looking at the code real quick, it's kind of what you expect. We have a 8x8 tile map that we're setting. We are creating our sprite, giving it some gravity, and doing a move buttons VX 100. We have an on-A button press for doing our jump. We have an on-game update every 500 milliseconds. We are creating a projectile, and we're using the from side with pick random, which makes it come from the corners. And then we have an overlap with game over, and that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 blocks.
Nice.
All right. Let's do Shannon's.
No, arrows.
Arrows, I see. Oh. Oh, I like this. So you can't stop bouncing. So it's just you're trying to move with the arrow keys to go. Oh, I like this. This is clever.
And the 2 extra blocks are the score component that you talked about. I couldn't fit score in just 10, so
yeah.
It was a on projectile destroyed. Yeah. So let's look at the code. So I started out, I was like, I'll make like a shark game. So I made it a shark, and then I made the enemies like fish, and then I was like, the shark is too big, so I switched it to a lemon, but I got distracted and didn't change the fish back. So that's where we are. But we make your player character move with buttons. You can only move left and right. We set bounce on wall, and we set a velocity, so you're just like going. And then in a forever loop, we're making these projectiles, and I put a pick random for speed, and then I'm changing the Y so they're coming at different directions. And then this is some math that's not like super well tested, but theoretically it will speed up as you as the time since start increases. We're subtracting from like 5 seconds, so it should start with like a big gap and then get like smaller and smaller. And then as soon as you overlap with the projectile, you die. And then these 2 extra blocks, the undestroyed, that's 11 and 12, change score by 1 so that you can get a score.
All right. And so if we do what we did before, and I take this and I combine our games.
Yeah, let's do it.
Then what we get is we do this from the sides. We get rid of this pick random Y. we just put the change score by 1 over here. We got 10 blocks. And let's see. So the way this works is it comes in a random direction. Every time one spawns, we get a point.
Nice. Also, Lucas sent in a game. I'm just taking a peek at the code real quick, and I'll put the URL in.
All right. I think maybe this makes this game a little bit too easy, though.
Having it be from all directions?
Yeah. Some of these guys are just like, what are you doing, fella?
Yeah, it should be just one direction. We'll just do the extra. It's one extra block to set the Y. One extra statement.
But we're at 10.
All right. This is Lucas's game. I haven't looked at the like I haven't played it, but it looks really, really good. And 16 blocks.
All right. Okay, we've got ghosts. We have a cat, of course.
Yeah.
And it looks like we have, oh, this looks similar to mine. I'm guessing that, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So you just dodge the ghosts.
Mm-hmm.
You also have Kirby style jumping.
Yeah, Kirby style jumping is great in this though. Like,
yeah, it's true.
Also, this game looks really good, like for a 16 block game.
Okay, let's look at the code.
Oh wait, Lucas says B button.
Oh.
Oh! Lucas, this is great.
Yeah, this is quite the powerful attack, but I like it. It's an attack you don't often see in games, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it's just pick random. Is that what the... Oh, it's a loop of pick random.
Do format code? Yeah, okay. So we have creating our character and buttons. We have the tile map. We have a camera because we're bigger than the screen. And we're setting our gravity. We're doing every 500 milliseconds, we're creating an enemy. So just like I did, we're doing the -100 to 100. We're setting the kind to enemy. We could get rid of that actually. And oh no, because we use projectile elsewhere. Okay. On A button, we have the change my sprite VY by -100. That's interesting. So if I like really hammer on A, I can start accelerating upwards if this was a bigger tower.
Yeah.
I don't know. Let's see. We have on sprite enemy game over. On sprite projectile overlaps with enemy. We destroy both of them. And then on B button press, we're creating 4 of these projectiles, but we're doing it from my sprite instead of from side. Very cool.
Yeah. Awesome.
All right. That's time for us, folks. We're over time. So thank you so much for tuning in. Tomorrow, I have no idea what we'll be doing, but Shannon won't be here. Yeah, it's all right. I'll make Joey come. Yeah, so join us tomorrow. Yeah, that's about it. See you guys later.